Hello and welcome back to another Router Gods video. My name's Humphrey Chung and let's start off a new series talking about Singapore. What we're going to do is we're going to cover everything from how much money it costs to live in Singapore, how to move over here, how to negotiate your expat package, what it takes to get a banking account or even a cell phone over here. And the reason we're doing this series is 7 months ago, I moved over as part of my company's expat package. So I got transferred from Southern California, from Phoenix, over here and got a pretty sweet deal. So we'll talk about that in a later series. But in this session, we're going to talk about what is my monthly budget in Singapore, covering everything from what I spend on average for food, my utilities, my electricity, my gas, my water, my rent, and even stuff like internet, cell phone bill, etc. Right? Now, a couple things here. Well, first, you see I'm wearing an AirAsia shirt. I actually don't work for AirAsia. It's just I was visiting their headquarters in Kuala Lumpur. I went to their company store and they were selling their company shirts. So I figured I'd buy one. It was something like 10 bucks. It was super cheap. So I figured out why not? It's actually a pretty decent shirt. So I figured I'd wear it for today. Also, a couple things to keep in mind when I'm talking about the budget is that I am very atypical. I am not your average expat, definitely not your average Singaporean, but single, no kids. I have an expat package. So that part of that expat package is when you belong to pretty big companies, a lot of things are paid for. So, if you're not taking an expat package, take that into consideration when you're looking at the budget. All right, let's get into it. We are taking a look at, first, let's talk about stuff for the apartment, things like rent and utilities. So I live in a pretty decent condo complex next to work. It is next to Vivo City in the southern, let's say south central, sounds weird, south central part of Singapore. And pretty nice condo. It's got a nice pool, nice amenities, etc. Very clean, very modern, right? So it is a one bedroom. Actually, it's probably a studio, but they measure things a little differently here. They count condos and apartments by rooms, and they actually count the living room as a room. So when you see something like a 2-room apartment, they actually mean, in Western terms, a 1-bedroom, because a 1-bedroom would be a living room plus the bedroom, right? So in Singapore, it's counted as a 2-room. Now, a 2-bedroom in Western terms, so equivalent to a 2-bedroom in the West, would be called a 3-room apartment or a 3-room condo in Singapore. So just keep that in mind. So I am in a 625 square foot apartment / condo. Actually, it's a condo, and it's got a bedroom portion and a living room portion. And I'm going to do a session on that later. So $3,000 a month. Once again, these prices are in Singapore dollars. The current exchange rate is 0.72. So 1 Singapore dollar equals 0.72 US dollars. Okay, so rent is $3,000 a month. Now, electricity, gas, and water is all done through one company. It's Singapore's national utility. I forget the name, but basically it's pretty easy. You sign up for it and you pay. I pay with it through the phone app. So most of the things you do are done through the phone, which makes your life super easy. And the average for the last 3 months has been $62 Singapore dollars. So I've got a $56 one, 52 and 77 is on the high end. I don't spend a lot of money on utilities. I'm usually out and about. I do actually run the air conditioning pretty much 24/7. What I do at night is before I go to bed, I'll turn the air conditioner off and I'll turn on the fans. I don't know if that actually saves any money, but it just keeps the room from getting way too cold while I sleep. So yeah, about $62 a month if you average out the last 3 months. All right, so that's the apartment portion. Let's talk about the communications. So we'll start off with how much is the internet for the condo. It's actually really cheap. It's $43 a month. I get it through My Republic. Once again, I pay that through the app. Actually, I have it on what we call auto pay, a Giro. I forget what what Giro stands for, but basically it's deducted automatically from my bank account. $43 a month. What does that give me? 1 gigabit up and down. So it's actually called the 1 gigabit gamer package, and they actually give you a pretty awesome router slash Wi-Fi router out of it. It's one of those Asus gaming ones. It looks like a spider. It's freaking huge. And for $43 a month, internet and the rental of the box, I think that's a pretty smoking deal, and it's symmetric, 1 gig up and down. Okay, so for my iPad Pro, when I'm out and about, I need internet on my iPad. So for that SIM card, I forget how many gigabytes I get per month. I think it's 25 to 30 or something like that. I can get a cheaper price ever since the COVID virus hit. All the different carriers have been offering data-only plans for pretty cheap, like $20, $25, that type. But here I'm spending $50 a month for my SIM card. It's through M1 for my iPad. And then for my phone, I'm rocking the iPhone 11 Pro or X, or I forget. I actually got it through work for a subsidized price, and I pay per month $0 because work pays for my phone charges. So that's, of course, atypical. In your case, if you're not having your company pay for your phone, it'll probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of probably $40 to $60, depending on what data and calling plan that you get. Okay, let's talk about food. In terms of groceries, how much do I spend on groceries? I spend probably about $80 to $100 a month. Let's go on the high end, about $100 a month. This covers things like drinks, toilet paper, noodles, instant noodles. I buy a lot of instant noodles. I should probably cut down on that. Things like toothpaste, toothbrushes, that type of stuff. So I actually don't spend a lot of money on groceries. I don't cook. Food in Singapore is extremely cheap if you go out. Well, it can be extremely cheap if you go out to the hawker stands, if you go out to the food courts. We're talking $3-ish for a decent meal. But of course, you can go crazy if you want. And we'll talk about that in about 2 minutes. So daily food. So this is my average food, McDonald's, hawker stands, all that stuff. About $20 a day-ish. Some days I only spend 10. Other days I maybe splurge a little bit. I go 30 or 40. So on average, I'll call it 20, and that makes it about $600 a month. Let's get into transport, things like the subway, the bus system, taxis, Grab, etc. So don't spend too much on transport. I don't have a car. I don't plan on getting a car. It is way too expensive to get a car here. We'll have a separate session for that, but MRT, bus, it's all together. It is Singapore's mass transit system, and I top it up. Every time I top it up by about $20. I do that every couple weeks, so let's call it $50 a month for my MRT/bus. Now, I also ride taxis, and actually I do Grab more than taxis. And for those of you who aren't familiar, Grab is the Uber of Asia. But once in a while, I'll also do taxis. And in a month, I'll probably spend, I don't take taxis that much, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. And that's about $40 a month. Right? So transport, let's call it $90 to $100 total. So if you add all that up, that's the quote-unquote essential portion of my budget, 3,945 Singapore dollars. Let's call it 4,000. And if you convert that to US, we're at 2,800 US dollars. So if you compare that to a major metropolitan city in the US, something like Los Angeles, Miami, New York, San Francisco, it's comparable, right? If you own a car, that number goes insane. That number starts going crazy. If you try to buy a landed house, which is a house with a front yard and a backyard and a fence and all that stuff, like a normal house in the US, that number is going to go insane, right? But about $2,800 USD per month is what I consider not bad for a place like Singapore. Okay, so that's the essential portion. That doesn't include things like night on the town, going out drinking with my buddies, drinking with coworkers and all that. You can spend a lot of money in Singapore on that. So let's figure that one out. Let's add in, let's call it entertainment. Let's just call it entertainment. It is very easy to spend $200 to $300 in one shot going out. Extremely easy to have a short drinking session, and when you split the bill, it'll be $100 per person. It is very scary how quickly things like alcohol, how much alcohol costs in Singapore. So we'll call it, let's say $250 per week, right? That's actually probably on the high side for me because I actually personally don't like drinking, but we'll call it $250. So we'll add in $1,000 for the month. So that's going to bring it around 5,000 USD or 5,000 Singapore dollars all in per month. And so if we do the multiplication here, convert it to USD, 72, we're looking at about $3,600 per month. All right, so that's my budget. Your budget will obviously be different, your circumstances, especially if you have kids, you're sending your kids through a private school, more mouths to feed, etc. But single person, no kids, pretty decent, comfortable lifestyle, going out 2 to 3 times a week with friends and buddies and coworkers. That's about how much money you're looking at. All right, so this was a quick session about my monthly budget in Singapore. Stay tuned for more sessions about Singapore coming up. Thanks for watching. Bye.